Hello everyone, welcome to Jamaica 411. Let me give everyone a special welcome, my subscribers, as well as the silent listeners, and of course, everyone else in between. If you have not yet subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel, as well as give the video a thumbs up. Please, everyone, give the video a thumbs up from now on. And of course, feel free to leave your comments in the comments section. So I've made my introduction very short because I can't wait to get into this news item, if I may call it a news item, because it is certainly news, I'm sure, to many, what I'm about to tell you. And basically, what I'll be doing today is taking a look at the Integrity Commission and the saga that recently unfolded and apparently about to unfold concerning Prince Kamika. This is Kevon Stevenson. As you would have learned from my previous video, there appears to have been a complaint lodged against him at the Integrity Commission alleging impropriety with regards to the investigation that he conducted into the Prime Minister's statutory declarations. And of course, there was the investigator, Stephanie Fiddler Blake, who evidently had some concerns about the way in which the investigation was being carried out, and appears to have been, so it seems from Mark Swaby, the person who made the report or the complaint to the Integrity Commission, it appears as though she may have concerns about whether or not the law was breached in the way in which the investigation was carried out. So what we're going to do today is ask the question, who is Stephanie Fiddler Blake? Because I saw her biography, so to speak, and I think we need to know, because that will give us some clues as to the caliber or lack thereof of this lady, and whether her up and resigning from the Integrity Commission should be something that raises our eyebrows. In addition to that, we also need to anticipate and brace ourselves for any possible onslaught on this lady by, political elements. And we would at least be forearmed and forewarned in terms of whether or not the onslaught will be justified or malicious. And of course, we will be able to defend this lady's integrity because we know her background, her qualifications, as well as her employment experience. So nobody will be able to come and tell us anything untoward about this lady and expect us to believe it. So, who is Stephanie Fiddler Blake? When I did the research for the other video, I came upon this in LinkedIn, and it says Stephanie Fiddler Blake, she's a JP, Master of Science in, and then she has some qualifications, CFE, ACPP, no clues what that may be, but it says she's an ACFE member and a Fulbright alumni. She also studied at the University of the West Indies. But like myself, I'm sure you must be wondering what all them letter something they mean. Let us find out. At first she says she's an ACFE member. And what is that? It says Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. It says join the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners for the training, resources, and professional network you won't find anywhere else. So it's an association of certified fraud examiners. And in order to be a member, you have to be a certified fraud examiner. Then she said she is an ACPP, which is the American Certified Procurement Professional. And they're saying that it's a course, this course comprehensively introduces procurement strategies, supplier management, contract negotiation, and ethical sourcing practices. All right, so these are her qualifications. And on her LinkedIn page, she has, it says here, certified fraud examiner, and of course, she's a member of the ACFE, Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, and she does fraud investigations, risk analysis, and she said that there's one more skill. Then there is the advanced competencies in public procurement, which apparently she received from the International Procurement Institute, and it was issued December of 2023, very late. And what does that entail? Public procurement and public sector procurement. So those are her qualifications. She went to the University of the West Indies, where she gained a Bachelor of Science in Management and Accounts, then a Master of Science in Human Resources Development, and it says Change Management, Strategic Human Resource Planning, and there are 3 other skills. So these now are her job experiences, and this is where we are very much would like to focus our attention on, because it's really the experience, the qualification, yes, but the experience of where this person is coming from that will tell us whether she's a fly by day, pitch by night, or whether she got the job by strings being pulled, or, what her story is. It does tell us a story, yes. So in July 1994, she got a job as a cooperative officer where she worked for 4 years, 3 months. And while she was there, she entered the university to study for her management and accounts, where she achieved a bachelor's. She started there in September 95. So the year after she started working, she decided she wanted to, elevate herself and give herself some more qualifications. And 3 years later, while she was still studying, it paid off. She got promoted to senior cooperative officer, and she was, of course, working with the Department of Cooperatives and Friendly Societies. There she was for 7 years, 7 months. Yes. And then she left in January 2002 after 3 years in the job as senior cooperative officer. So she left the Department of Cooperative and Friendly Societies to join the staff at the Ministry of Finance. She was an internal auditor for the Revenue Protection Division or Tax Administration Directorate, and that's part of the Ministry of Finance. And that job she held from January 2002 to 2004 February. She then moved on from that job to take up an appointment as Senior Internal Investigator of the Financial Investigation Division, the FID, and she took the appointment April 2004 until September 2007, 3 years and 6 months. And her job then was to do background checks and fraud investigations and one other skill. Then she left that job. I'm assuming it's a separate job, yes, to join the Integrity Commission of Jamaica, formerly known as the Commission for the Prevention of Corruption. So that would now be one of the commissions. And when it says prevention of corruption, that would suggest that that was the commission that was established under the Corruption Prevention Act of, let me see when that was passed, 2001. That was under PJ. So she was a financial investigator for the Commission for the Prevention of Corruption, right? So she was part of one of the bodies, one of the commissions. There were 3 of them at the time, and she was part of the commission that was administering the Corruption Prevention Act. The other one was the Parliament Integrity of Members Act, passed in 73 by Michael Manley. And then you have the other one that was passed in 83 by Siaga, and that was the Contractor General Act. All 3 bodies had commissions, and they were investigating corruption. The Parliament Integrity of Members Act, they were only investigating the 84 parliamentarians, such as they were that passed through the Parliament from time to time. The Contractor General Act, they were only investigating contracts, and I do believe licenses and so on that was issued or revoked by government. And then you have the Corruption Prevention Act. That commission would have been responsible for administering the act in terms of any corruption in the civil service and other government bodies. And I imagine that would also include the parish councils. So this is her background. Her background basically is in accounting. That's where she started. And she went into the field of an auditor. An auditor is like an investigator into the financial affairs of an entity or persons. And that's what she did. Now, when she was at the Commission for the Prevention of Corruption, she was involved in fraud investigations, financial crimes investigations, and there were 3 other skills. She worked there from September 2007 until January 2021. So she was with them the longest, 13 years and 5 months. She clearly enjoyed her job. So when the Integrity Commission Act came into being in 2017, and I do believe they became operational in 2018, she would have been one of the legacy staff of one of the commissions. And that now meant that she was employed to the Integrity Commission. Now, it says here that in January 2021, her employment at the Commission for the Prevention of Corruption would have ceased when it was merged with the Integrity Commission of Jamaica. So that's now the name under which she was operating. And that started January of 2021. And she was the senior financial investigator, then promoted to manager in July of 2023. And she stayed in that job until she up and resigned November of 2024 due to some disagreements, we were told. And it was the subject of that letter of complaint that went to the Integrity Commission about Kevon Stevenson and his alleged misconduct in his office. So as a senior financial investigator at the Integrity Commission, her job was to investigate fraud. So she was involved in fraud investigations, financial analysis, and there were 4 other skills. One such skill was as an interviewer. She did the interviewing. Now, you might say, that doesn't sound like much, but it is, because how skillful you are as an interviewer when you are interviewing somebody that you are investigating is what is going to turn on the success of your case, because you must have the ability to extract information from that person, even if the person were determined not to say anything about that matter. So she has many years of experience in interviewing. She also brought to the job strategic planning, team management, and financial crime investigations. So that was what her job was as the senior financial investigator. What was her job then as a manager? So after her promotion in January 2023, her purview now as the manager was to indulge in fraud investigations, interviewing. That is critical. It meant that she was part of the interviewing process, or maybe she prepared the questions for the interview, which makes me wonder if she was part of the team that accompanied the investigator, Kevon Stevenson, when he was investigating Andrew Holness. Remember, he had said on several occasions they had gone to read him his rights and to get particular information out of him. And he outlined what the questions were that were asked and what responses that Holness gave. I am wondering if Stephanie would have been the one who would have been responsible for preparing those questions for the Prime Minister to answer. And that is what I'm going to tell you now, how skillful she is. But as it is, we don't know if she was the one who prepared those questions. Now, fraud investigations, interviewing. What are the other 5 skills? Let's see. As the manager, of course, team leadership would be her purview. Strategic planning and financial analysis. So when the information comes in that they gather from the field, she does the analysis. It also says here financial crimes investigations, which she has been doing for quite some time, and report writing. So she writes a report. Now, who would that report go to? I would imagine that as a manager in the Director of Investigation Department, that report would go to him, Kevon Stevenson, who is the director. And therefore, she was reporting to him. So when we look at her background and her qualifications, it is clear that this is a woman who started out as a small person like so many other persons and lifted herself up. She knew what she wanted. She wanted to become an accountant. She then graduated to becoming an auditor and end up being an investigator into financial crimes. And she clearly enjoyed the job because she did it from, when was it? April 2004, when she was employed to the FID as a senior internal investigator. So from 2004 until 2024 is how much years that? 20 years she was at it. And she just got up and left her job. It must have been a very serious reason why she would have done that, right? So we have not seen anything in her background which suggests that she was being granted any special privilege by anybody, right? She simply was working with the Integrity Commission of Jamaica when it was called the Commission for the Prevention of Corruption. That's where she was working for 13 years before she was then co-opted, I suppose, or she continued her service through the Integrity Commission. And there is where she encountered 3 people who are coming from the Contractor General's department, right? First of all, you have Craig Beresford. He is currently the Director of Information and Complaints, right? He will not be in her way at all. But then you have Kevon Stevenson, who was coming from the Contractor General Department, and Greg Christie, who was the former Contractor General himself. They are the ones now who are in the Integrity Commission, and she is coming from another commission, right? They were administering the Corruption Prevention Act. So clearly there may be some kind of a conflict in terms of how they go about carrying out their investigation. And of course, story come to bump, and then she bumped herself out of the department rather than work with them. So, as I said, we probably will be here because politics involved in all of this, And I think it's important that we know her background because you know how politics is. People will start to get ideas in them head and start to wonder about this lady and why it was that she was saying that she was saying in terms of how the investigation was being conducted. She is clearly in a position to have an opinion about the law and how an investigation is carried out. Anything at all it was, because we don't know what it was that she was complaining about. I expect we will hear it by and by, and hopefully not long from now. So this is who she is. So anybody come tell you any stories, you come right back to this and you listen. It's very short, just 19 minutes. You listen to it again and you'll see what her qualifications are, right? And she was there before Andrew Holness became Prime Minister. She has been doing this thing in a very different department outside of the political atmosphere. She was dealing with the Corruption Prevention Act, which means that she was investigating civil servants, not politicians. I imagine she would have been the one being skilled in investigation and interviews. She may well have been the one who was on the team with Stevenson interviewing the Prime Minister, and he got some tough questions, right? So that is what I decided to bring you today so that we can prepare ourselves and be ready for when it starts. Yes. All right, I hope you found this very interesting. It's very short and spicy. I thank you so much for joining me, sharing, liking, and subscribing, as well as leaving your comments in the comments section. So until next time, take very good care of yourselves and walk good.